On this episode, we're going to be talking about building House Van Saar gangs with 1 or 2 boxes.
Dome Runners TV, your guide to the Underhive and beyond.
Hey there, scabby scummers and gangers. Crimson Oracle here with another episode of Dome Runners TV. Today, we're going to be talking about going through the House Van Saar, box and what's in it, and how you can build lists with just 1 or 2 boxes. So without further ado, I'm just going to jump right in it.
If you like our content, don't forget to like and subscribe, and for as little as $2 a month you can become a patron and help support the show.
Okay, so we are going to start with just the core box. So we're going to open up numbers. You could use any spreadsheet application for this. And I've got it set to record the total up here so that it's easy for me to keep track of. So first, we're going to need a leader. I always do this with the book right next to me, so I can just pop right over to it. 130 for a Van Saar leader. And I always give the Van Saar leaders mesh armor, because it's kind of when you've already invested in the undersuit, like giving it +2 to the save is really worth the 15 credits. So if you need to save credits, I would look somewhere else personally. Now with the Van Saar leader, obviously shooting is kind of your best quality. So I like to, I'd like to have at least one fighter who's like a little bit set up better for kind of close-up stuff. So I'd like to do maybe a plasma pistol on the leader. And they are absolutely, they're absolutely monsters with the plasma pistol. And then I'm a big fan of the High-Star Energy Shield, which is another 50 credits. I think that this gives you a lot of survivability and utility, while also being pretty deadly. You just have to move up close. And then I would say next we move on to the champion. So 110 credits for a champion here. And we could give them, mesh armor is a good one. Because once again, if you've already paid the credits extra to have the undersuit, it's worth it to have the extra protection. Next up, we're going to add the plasma gun for 100 credits. It's kind of it's just an all-around great weapon. It's extremely effective at taking out important fighters. It can actually easily wound the big brutes of the game. So I tend to kind of swear by it in the Van Saar list, simply because it's one of the most affordable of the special and heavy weapons, and yet is also one of the most effective. So it's just sort of an obvious go-to. I know everyone takes a plasma gun in their Van Saar, but they are the faction that leans into that kind of stuff. Now I will go a little bit more off the beaten path for Champion 2. Once again, mesh armor. And I'll go with the rad cannon, which is not something that you'll see as often, just because it's a heavy weapon. You're at a disadvantage until you get a suspensor. So I get that aspect of it, but I really think that it's worth trying out, and I think rad can be a lot of fun. So personally, I would take the rad cannon here. And now we get a specialist for free. Well, not for free, but for the price of a ganger. So we have 65 credits for that. And give that one a glass carbine, because those things are gold. And let's go on to the next ganger. Once again, 65 credits. And we'll do another las carbine. I really like these guns. Having rapid fire with the reliability of las is really definitely worth a little bit of extra cost. So then now we're at 895 credits, so we're getting pretty expensive here. So I think that the next thing to do is probably to grab maybe some subtext. So it's 35. And give him a las gun. And then another subtech. $35. And do another las gun. And that gives us another 15 credits or so. So maybe give the specialists some smoke grenades. And boom. Okay, so we've got, the leader with the plasma pistol and the energy shield. I should add, so the thing with the Van Saar gang that will come up as you're building it is that there are a limited number of arms. So, for example, there are 6 pistol arms, but only 2 in the box are left-handed. So if you want to run a bunch of 2-handed gunners, you're probably going to need to buy extra bits. But the list here that I, built is using the limited number of arms. So for the las carbine, there are a bunch of those in the kits. They are kind of hard to identify the difference. Here, I'll show you the difference right here. So as you can see, this part up here is a little bit different from this part on the las gun, and that's what separates them. So this list winds up being, I guess, about 7 models. It's a little less than I like to try to hit 8, but with Van Saar, with the high cost of everything, with trying to include both the special and heavy weapon, it's going to be difficult. You'd have to cut costs somewhere. Maybe, I'm not even sure. I guess you could drop the las carbines on the specialist and the ganger to las guns and the smoke grenade, and that would give you enough just for a subtech on their own. And then I guess you could take one of the subtech las guns and give that change that to a las pistol for each of the 2 subtechs. So if you wanted to do that, you could. So for that would be delete this, take this and do that, and then make this a las pistol, and there you go. You're at 1,000. So I don't know. You've got a lot of different options to build with the core kit. You could kind of try for some close combat using the shock staves. The energy shields are fun, but they're so expensive it's hard to get more than 1 into a starting list. The knives are very expensive, and Van Saar don't tend to be very good in close combat, so I could understand putting one on a leader, but I probably wouldn't put one on any of your gangers or juves or anything. But of course, that's based off of just from how I kind of view the mechanics of getting to what I want, which is 8 models. If you were willing to go for fewer models, you can definitely invest more in the amount that you give them. So, that's kind of a rough overview of, that what you can build with the core box. You've got 2 plasma guns, you've got 2 rad cannons. The suppression lasers are a lot of fun. Those are basically laser shotguns. This is the combi meltas are very effective. It's a list with a lot of potential, of what's in the box, but it can definitely be a little bit of an adjustment to kind of limiting yourself down to just the stuff, just because Van Saar's stuff tends to be expensive. You don't have any of those kind of more affordable special weapons like needle gun or grenade launcher or something like that. So now we're going to build the gang with upgrades. So we'll start once again with a leader, and we'll take a look at what's in the upgrade box. So inside the upgrade box, there's 2 plasma cannons, 2 multi-meltas, 2 shock mauls, 2 servo claws, 4 melta guns, 4 grav guns, 2 power knives, 4 rad guns, 4 flamers, 2 las pistols, and 2 hand flamers. And once again, you are limited on the number of hands that you get in the box. So again, this really expands out even more what your options are. The shock maul and the servo claw are, they're fun modeling choices for close combat weapons. The power knife it looks very interesting, and specifically Van Saar. It's a solid set. This is a great expansion for your gang, and it's going to allow you to really take anything you want. Including, stuff like having the extra rifle arms in order to build more of the, the las guns and that kind of thing. All right, so for our leader for this list, I think go in a little bit of a different direction and do, mesh armor again, of course, but this time take a las carbine for 20 credits on the leader. And then go with a plasma pistol for 50 and a shock stave, which I believe is 25. I'm just going to pop on over. Shock stave is 25 credits. All right. And now we are going to build our first champion using our expanded options. So, obviously you could just go basic and go, another plasma gun. But I think it's sometimes fun to try out other things. So even though it's probably a little bit less utilitarian, it's still very deadly. We'll go for Melt-A-Gun, which the Melt-A-Gun costs 135 credits. And now we move on to the next champion. Now, we spent a good bit on our leader and champion, so why don't we make this one affordable? So champion, 110. Oh, forgot to put mesh on the previous guy. And there. And we'll go with 2 las subcarbines, which allows them to fire 2 rapid fire weapons, which is a lot of fun. Because the las subcarbines are essentially like auto pistols for las weapons. And then, we'll leave it at that for now. Ganger, well, I guess specialist. And we go for a suppression laser because, like I was saying, those are a lot of fun. And for our next ganger, I like the las carbine a lot, so do a ganger with a las carbine. Now this is a Van Saar gang that's going to want to close relatively quickly, just because you've got a lot of the sort of shorter rapid fire weapons in your possession, and you've even got a close combat weapon on your leader. Not that you want to be using it against dedicated close combat elements. So we're going to go las carbine for 20. And then let's see, another ganger with a las gun. Oops. And no, that's good. And we're at 920. So I guess we go for 2 juves. With las pistols. And do another one of those. And boom, we're at 1,000. This is, obviously it's only using one different weapon that wouldn't normally be available. The core kit has, all of your bread and butter choices. It's not like the Goliath kit or even the Escher kit where, having some expanded options is important. it's already a good kit at base. So Vansar, you can very easily build a very, very mean team from just the core box. But with the upgrades, you get a little bit more flexibility. You get to more tailor things towards your personal taste in terms of special and heavy weapons. So yeah, that kind of, it gives you an overview of kind of what Vansar is like for the basic box and extra weapons. Now, when you start to add in their expansion box, it's a totally different game. So, of course, once again, you're going to always need a leader. You don't have any choice about taking one. And I'm always going to give them mesh armor. And this time, I think we give the leader the Combi Las Pistol Melt-A-Gun. And that is 130 credits. Next up, we're going to get an Archaeotech, because why not? That's 125 credits base. Not cheap. Mesh armor, obviously. And since the Archaeotech's gear list is pretty limited, we're going to go with a spider rig. Just because it looks cool, and it's a punchy Vansar guy, so why not? And give them a Las Pistol for 5 credits, because they want to be able to do at least something at range. Now, of course, another champion. Which is 110 credits. And since we're kind of, we're trying to fit in some Neotechs into this list, I would maybe go kind of light and do Plasma Pistol as this guy's main thing. And then Specialist with we'll start out with the last carbine on that one. That's 20, and then we'll do another ganger with the last carbine. All right, so we're coming in expensive. We need a couple more guys just for the total number that we want to have. So let's see, a Neotech is 70, and that gives us one of those guys on the hoverboard. And you might want to start him out kind of light and easy with Las Pistol for 5, and then once again Neotech with Las Pistol, and that puts us pretty far into where we want to go. And then maybe for this champion we add a Las Pistol so they can at least twin guns blaze it. All right, and so yeah, you've got some options with the Neotechs. So the Neotechs have the option in the book to take the energy shield, but that makes them very expensive for a model that is a little bit suicidal because they can't really take cover and they're zipping around at high speeds. So I tend to like keeping them relatively cheap, the way a gang would keep a prospect like that cheap. So las guns are one of the options for them, which is pretty good. Being able to have that kind of mobile but longer range fire allows you to really get out there and start harassing people with those fighters. They're not that great at shooting, but las guns are more accurate because of the long middle range, so worth trying out. Plasma pistol on them is, it's one of those things where it's a big investment for something you're definitely going to rush forward and put into danger, but the las pistol does have a nice bonus to hit, and if you can get it close, which a Neotech is good at, it can be seriously brutal. So I went Las Pistols here simply because the gang is low on funds, but I would definitely consider popping some las guns on them, and maybe also some plasma pistols, just because it would give them a little bit more to do. The energy shield is just not something that I would necessarily put on them, because these are essentially little suicide guys to me. So I would expect them to take damage and be taken out pretty quickly, but after they get the jump on someone and do the important task that is being asked of them. That's how I tend to view prospects in general. Other people might have different narratives for their prospects, but I personally view them as, being fairly expendable. That about covers it. That's the whole run through. So thanks so much for watching to everyone. If you like the show, of course, don't forget to subscribe. And thanks as always to my patrons. You guys make this show possible. Without it, this wouldn't be happening right now. And of course, you too can support the show on Patreon for as little as $2 a month. It's just not that much money, and it helps keep all of this coming, so don't sleep on it. And of course, the show has a podcast. I should have a January episode out soon, so check that out. And of course, everyone out there, please stay safe, and don't forget to change your paint water.